Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining on this final online conference for the Ewisee project. I I will be sharing my screen in just a little second, just to go for a quick overview, a quick resume of what summary, I'm sorry, of what the platform is, and then we're gonna go, more in depth for the two main sections of the website. Let me just share my screen real quick. Okay, so. As we all know, the Ewisee project means Europe working for inclusive sex and emotional education. Our aims are to strengthen young people knowledge, their competences, skills, and in the field of affective and sexual education. This is one of our main goals, or the most main goal. That's what we're working towards. It is a project funded by the European Union as well as the Spanish Youth Institute, and with the participation of three countries: Spain, Greece, and Italy, Archipelago, Siglysis, and Marac Digital Marketing. The the objectives of the project is the aims to enhance the roles of the youth workers, as mentioned before, in the in terms of affectivity and sexual education, as well to increase the professional knowledge of the youth workers, and give them those specific tools and tasks to improve their methodologies, whether it be online or face to face, that they have these meetings, conferences, or like a one-on-one chat with the young people, as well as to improve the transversal competencies of said youth workers, especially active listening, effective communication, and emotional communication, given that it's so important to have tact when dealing with these topics of affectivity and sexual education, given that it's such a difficult subject to broad with mostly young people, as well as people that you do not have let's say the confidence, to talk to. It's important to know how to broad this topic. And last, to facilitate the interaction and the exchange between European youth workers on this topic. Like, it's also important to the youth workers to be able to discuss challenges that they might encounter with this specific theme. The platform in itself, it's, as mentioned, it's a useful tool to improve all of these competencies that we have shared. The two main sections of the website are the Ewisee Lab as well as the glossary. The Ewisee Lab, it's a virtual space that's dedication of compiling materials that are useful to support the work that these youth workers do with these young people on the topics of sexuality and affectivity education. I'm not going to go into too much detail of this, since we're going to see it a little bit more ahead now. But the Ewisee Lab is divided between these four categories, and the glossary is, it aims to highlight and facilitate specific paths, to know more about this topic. It's basically like a dictionary. Like, it's a quick overview, a summary of all these specific terms, so that the youth workers as well as the young people can know more about this topic. This topic sometimes might be wrongly perceived as taboo, but we have to, teach everyone that there's nothing taboo to talk about sex, talk about emotional education and affectivity. This is important. These are human rights. So they have to, it's within their rights to know this, and also be able to teach for the youth workers and learn in speaking about the young people. The glossary is divided mainly within these five broad terms: the LGBTQIA terms, sex-related, gender-related, abusive behaviors, and inclusive education. Not going to go into specific details right now, but we have all the subtopics, subcategories within the main five categories. The website, as you can see here, it's divided by the main, like a main section explaining the project, the objectives, and everything, which I have already mentioned. the partners. Then we have here the Ewisee Lab glossary and events, news, and everything dedicated to the project. So now I will leave the floor to one of our partners that's going to be discussing about the Ewisee Lab. I believe it's Margarita, right?
Yes,
Thank
it's
you.
my
Thank you,
it's my
Heidi.
turn. It's my turn.
Go
Thank
ahead.
you, and hi everyone. I am my name is Margherita, and I am a part of Archipelago. Who are Archipelago? Archipelago is a social promotion association, and the mission of our organization is to promote the well-being and the personal and professional growth of people, the creation of safe space and secure educational space in both the physical and digital worlds, and the implementation of non-formal education methodology. Archipelago is a part of Archi network in the province of Caserta. And for the Ewisee project, Archipelago worked on the creation of the Ewisee Lab in collaboration with youth workers from the associated partner Cantiere Giovani. But what is the Ewisee Lab? The Ewisee Lab is a part of the Ewisee platform dedicated to the collection of materials and educational tools useful for the activities of youth workers in their work with young people on the topic of the affectivity and sexuality education. In the Ewisee Lab, you can find four kinds of activities. Activities for youth workers to improve their skills. For example, active listening, empathy, effective communication, and emotional communication. You can find activities with young people, online and face-to-face non-formal education activities and tools. This part includes tools which are useful for youth workers in their work with young people. And then you can find a collection of good practice, activity that have been effective and can be replicated in other contexts. And you can find collection of pills with expert, collection of videos related to the topic of the project. The expert can be psychologists, educators, trainers who work in the project fields of action. But what are the main elements of the Ewisee Lab? Each activities present different methodologies of non-formal education. And activities are easier to find thanks to the keyword you will find on the platform. For each activity, you can find a PDF file to download on the platform. The files contain a lot of useful information about the kind of activity. For example, name and description of the activity, identification of the aims of the activity, number of participants, duration, materials for the activity, and suggestion for the post-activation debriefing. Working on Ewisee Lab was an opportunity for a group of youth workers to create or collect activity for other youth workers. A slogan for the Ewisee Lab and for the entire platform could be for youth workers with youth workers. And finally, the creation and the collection of activity for the Ewisee Lab was an opportunity for the youth workers involved in the project to reflect on their work with young people and to find good practice and new tools. And that's all. I give the floor to Heidi or to Yannis. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Margarita, for that in-depth look at the EY's lab. Thank you so much. Yanis, I believe it's your turn. We're going to discuss now the glossary, correct?
Yes, of course. Hello, everyone. And just to introduce briefly, I'm Yanis. I work from the part of Ewisee. Just some words about our organization. It's a non-profit organization working mostly in the fields of education, of course, culture and environment. And we had a specific interest in the topics of this project: affectivity, sexuality education, sex and gender education. So we felt very intrigued by the topics of the project, and we were very happy to participate and to work together for these outcomes that we are presenting you currently. I had the chance from our part to work in the creation of the glossary. As Heidi mentioned before, is indeed um, an online dictionary, a multimedia actually dictionary that combines different elements and different ways of presentation of the information mentioned and related to the terms that we are that we're including in the platform. I want to go a bit before the creation of the actual glossary, just to show you the process and the idea of creating the glossary. We created workshops that were implemented into all three countries with youth workers or specialists in social work, in sexology, in education, in these topics. And we gathered information alongside with our own research into already existing glossaries and researches that are showcasing these kind of terms and these elements that we wanted also to include in our own platform. So we combined all the information and we categorize each element that we gathered either from our research, our desk research, or our workshops, our discussions and interviews with the specialists and youth workers. And we divided this massive category, this massive group of terms, we divided them into 5 term categories. The first category is the LGBTQIA plus terminology, which is pretty much the explanation and deep conversation that has to do with the acronym itself of the LGBTQ community. And what are we talking, what is the discussion regarding the sexual orientations and the gender identities that are included in this acronym. We have the second category, which is the sex-related terms that we wanting to include terms that has to do with the sex as the biological characteristics, the sex as a sexual action, and also as we are talking with teenagers as well in our indirect target group is teenagers from 12 to 18 years old. We wanted to add elements that had to do with sexual health as well, with STDs, with HIV, AIDS, and everything that has to do with protecting ourselves during sexual actions. And the third category has to do with gender, the gender as a social construct. We dedicated a significant part of the discussion, and we wrote an article about that as well, about the distinction between the sex and gender, the two different terms and the two different perception of what are we calling a sex or a gender. which we think it is very important and significant to remember and to discuss about it and to distinct it. Um, we gathered information about the stereotypes regarding the gender roles, the gender norms. So we wanted to add also these to the platform. And the last two categories are sort of linked with each other. The one leads to the other one. We have first of all the abusive behaviors towards either LGBTQIA plus persons or femininities or each person that receives a backlash of abusive behaviors. And what does this mean exactly? What is the outcome of these abusive behaviors? We are mentioning a very important term, which is trauma systemic, or individual trauma, or terms as the vicious cycle of violence, that it keeps going on and on. And the last one is, of course, the transformation of these abusive and hate speech practices. What skills do we need to cultivate in the educational system, either the formal one or the non-formal education practices? What skills we need to cultivate to youth workers and children and adolescents in order to transform hate speech practices and abusive behaviors to inclusive education practices, inclusive strategies to be more acceptable, and to I don't know, to fulfill a vision for it's a bit romantic the way that I tell it at the moment, but it is what it is. A more unified and inclusive society in general. This is the vision, and I may say that we were very happy to do this research. Personally, I felt very urged to work in this topic. Um, for many reasons, and it helped me also a lot. I learned a lot, so I think we have delivered a very decent and well organized outcome that it's showcased in the platform. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yanis. I second that sentiment, and I feel like I speak for everyone here that it is a very um, first well-researched project and information. I feel like I knew a lot of the terminology, emotional affectivity and sexual education and everything, but there were some terms specifically in the glossary section that I might have heard, but not really knew the definition of. So I can at least speak personally in this aspect that it was very enlightening to know. And, our target, the youth workers, and our indirect target with the adolescents, I feel like it's going to be very, even at the, after the end of the project, but even further, I do believe that this project will, stand the test of time with the information. Um, so I really do think that it was a wonderful project to be part of, but not only for our specific target as well as the indirect, but also, everyone that comes across with it, just like the general population. It's never wrong to know. It's never it's what's going to make society more inclusive and more in tune with everyone, to understand labels, for a lack of a better word, to understand labels, to understand how people identify themselves, and just to understand each other a little bit more. So that humanity, at least in that side, I believe it's a wonderful and a beautiful aspect to add to the project. So if anyone else has any another comment to add.
Okay, for us from Marac, it will be great to the experience with when we did the local event here in Madrid with the youth workers that they participate, and really it was like an amazing experience. And talking about all of these topics, talking about their experience, talking about how to improve all of this sexual education, because so many times I think that we think that this is only related to the families, but it's true that it's like the youth workers is what is a wonderful. Um, it's wonderful that the youth workers can help with all of this information and education. So it's not only families, it's not only schools, it's not only youth workers, it's all society. And our experience, Janis can share his experience too in this local event. And for us from Marac, always say thank you, because it was like a wonderful experience. And I think that everyone learned a lot about this, and how to collaborate and how to help. And really, I think that I learned a lot about
Yes.
the topics and
Like I
everything.
mentioned, it's a topic that is very taboo. So sometimes people, it's not like they don't want to, they're scared of talking about it. And since they're scared, they don't go and reach and seek the information required to learn more and to continue that knowledge. So I feel like it's a project that's going to stand the test of time. Well, but if
Yes,
we have, oh yes, I'm sorry, Yanis, go
yes,
ahead.
I think it was, I will agree with Maria about the local event. I was a part also in Madrid. It was a very nice experience to interact with the students in the foundation that we visited, and we had the chance to share our information with them, to share our presentation, to do a workshop and discussion, a very fruitful discussion with them. Um, I will agree that indeed it is a taboo topic, but no more. I
No more.
mean,
Exactly.
we need to just do a new start, a new beginning into discussing these topics, and to start step by step. As we were talking in our local event in Greece, each thing has its own time. Each topic can be discussed with the children, our children, and at schools also when it's the correct time. But the important thing is to start since they are in a young age. We can start talking about emotions. We can start about cultivating their emotional intelligence to identify their emotions. And step by step, little by little, we will eventually keep discussing more and more complex stuff. We don't need to talk with children at a very young age for all those topics in one place. We need to start little by little, communicating with children, educate them into the basics, learn them how to express their feelings, how to interact with other people, how to interact with their peers, with older generations, to put their limits. It's very important to learn our children how to set their limits and talk about how they are feeling, whether they are pleased or not, and why, and to learn them the variety of emotions that exist. Nothing is only black or white, happy or sad. We have a huge spectrum of feelings that we can experience, and children don't know about them. They learned not to know them or not to express them because either they are afraid or ashamed about what they're feeling. We need to take out shame out of the equation at all. These are not topics that we need to be ashamed of. It's our own body, it's our own mind, it's our wills and desires, and the things that we want to experience with our mind and our bodies when we are in the correct age that we are feeling. And we need to start taking shame out of this discussion and to just begin step by step. I think this is the strategy that needs to be followed, and eventually we will educate children and parents as well and teachers that they can do it and they can educate themselves even more. And I think that we are providing at this point a simplified version of a gathered, simplified version of this information, very easy to handle and to manipulate and to use, well displayed and easily displayed, that they will not face any problem when they want to interact with the platform and download and learn more and more about what we are showcasing and uploading there. So it's a nice tool, it's a useful tool, and it can be very nicely integrated into any educational procedure.
Thank you so much, Yanis. I couldn't have said it better. Agree 100%. Thank you so much. Well, if there are no more comments or suggestions or anything, I think that was a perfect way to end this meeting. So thank you so much, Yanis, for that grain of salt, grain of sand to add to our wonderful project. So thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. Have a great day.